Your cake decorating supplies finally arrived and you're so excited to look through them. And then you notice the piping tips are not numbered. Most brands usually etch or print the tip number onto the sides to make them easier to identify, right? And while a number 21 Wilton tip and a number 21 Ateco tip is generally the same shape and size, all of these numbers are not universal. This can be super frustrating, but don't toss your tips aside. This video will help you identify and understand your unmarked piping tips. There are 5 common types of piping tips. Let's start by taking a look at round tips. As you can see, they have a flat, round end. They come in a very small size, like this number 16, or a very large size, like this 1A. Common techniques achieved with round tips include making dots, making bead borders, and also writing. Another common shape of tips are star tips. These tips have pronged ends that are flat in profile. Here's a small number 14 tip and a large number 1M tip. These tips are available with less prongs as shown on this number 21 tip and more prongs as shown on this number 32 tip. When I pipe a basic star with both tips, you can really see the difference. I piped a number 21 on the left and a number 32 on the right. Star tips are extremely versatile and can be used for a variety of techniques, with stars and shells being 2 of the most popular star tip techniques. Next, we'll look at petal tips. These tips have a very distinct teardrop shape when viewed straight on. Petal tips also have a tapered profile or bowed profile. As the name suggests, these tips are used typically for flower petals. They can also be used to create ruffles as well. It's common to find Korean-style petal tips. These typically have the letter K in the numbering convention. Korean petal tips have thinner openings, and you can see the difference here as compared to a number 104 petal tip. The thinner openings help to create more delicate looking petals, like the petals on this rose. And next we have leaf tips. These tips have a very distinct V shape and when viewed in profile look like an open fish mouth. These tips create a leaf very quickly. However, this tip has to be held with the V or the open fish mouth pointed down toward the surface to work. Another common piping tip you would encounter is a Russian tip. Like the petal tip, Russian tips are used primarily for flowers. They have intricately patterned openings and a very flat end, and they're usually much larger than your typical piping tip. I'll be covering Russian tips in more detail in a later video. A few more helpful things to know as you categorize your piping tips. The smaller the piping tip, the smaller the number would be on that tip. Here's an example of petal tip number 101, number 103, and number 104. As you can see, as the number increases, so does the size of the tip. Larger piping tips will require the use of larger decorating bags, so you may want to consider a 16-inch decorating bag as opposed to a 12-inch decorating bag. No matter what piping tip you're using, having a tip brush always comes in handy. Now that you have a general idea about the most common piping tips, you can easily organize your unnumbered tips by shape. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button below and subscribe for more cake decorating tips and tutorials. And a special shout out to all of my channel members. Thank you all for supporting my channel. And as always, thanks for watching.